You know, right this very second, there's an invisible war happening inside of us. It's a constant battle between our bodies and literally trillions of microscopic invaders. And for about a century now, we've had a superweapon in this fight, antibiotics. But how do they actually work? And what happens when our greatest weapon starts to get, well, weaker?
All right. To really get a grip on this invisible war, we're going to need a battle plan. First, we'll size up our opponent, the bacteria themselves. Then, we'll take a look at our arsenal, the weapons we have. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how they fight. We'll also cover the risks, the collateral damage, before we tackle the biggest threat of all, the rise of resistance.
Okay, let's get right into it. First up, let's meet the enemy.
So what even are bacteria? Well, at their core, they're pretty simple, just single-celled organisms. Now, it's super important to remember that most bacteria are totally harmless. A lot of them are actually essential for our health. But for today, we're focusing on the pathogenic ones. Those are the invaders that cause everything from strep throat to some really serious, life-threatening infections.
And they're not all just identical little blobs either. They come in a few basic shapes, like these rod-shaped ones called bacilli, and the little spherical ones called cocci. You've probably heard of streptococci, right? The thing that causes strep throat? Well, that's literally just a chain of these little cocci bacteria. And knowing the enemy's shape is always the first step in picking the right weapon to fight it.
Okay, so we've met the bad guys. Now let's check out the weapons we use against them, our antibacterial arsenal.
We hear these terms all the time, right? Antiseptic, disinfectant, antibiotic, but they are absolutely not the same thing. Antiseptics, that's what you put on a cut to inhibit infection on your skin. Disinfectants are for surfaces, like cleaning your kitchen counter. But antibiotics, they're the special forces. They're the only ones designed to go inside our bodies and fight the bacteria directly at the source.
And even when we're talking about antibiotics, there are two totally different strategies. Think of it like a military operation. Bacteriostatic drugs are all about containment. They're like cutting off the enemy's supply lines. They stop the bacteria from growing and multiplying, which gives your own immune system the chance to come in and clean up. Then you've got bactericidal drugs. Oh, that's a full-on frontal assault. They go in and just directly kill the bacteria.
So we know they can either stop them or kill them. Got it. But how do they actually do that? Let's get into the specifics of the battle plan.
To really appreciate how targeted these drugs are, just imagine a single bacterium is like a tiny fortress. Antibiotics have 5 main ways to attack it. First, they can destroy the cell wall. That's like knocking down the fortress walls. Or they can mess with the cell membrane, which is kind of like jamming the gates. They can shut down protein synthesis, basically closing the factories inside. They can even go after the RNA and DNA, destroying the fortress's blueprints, or just interfere with its metabolism, which is like poisoning the food supply. Pretty cool, right?
Now, doctors also have to make a strategic choice. A narrow-spectrum antibiotic? That's your sniper rifle. It's perfect for targeting one specific bad guy that you've already identified. But what if you're not sure exactly what the infection is? Well, that's when you bring out the broad-spectrum antibiotics. They're more like a shotgun, effective against lots of different types of bacteria, like both gram-positive and gram-negative types, which are just 2 major categories with different kinds of defenses.
But here's the thing about powerful weapons. Using them isn't without risk. Even a battle you win can have some serious, unintended consequences. So, let's talk about the aftermath.
Generally, you're looking at 3 main types of adverse reactions. You might have an allergic reaction, hives, a rash, that kind of thing. Some of the real heavy-duty antibiotics can even cause organ toxicity, maybe damaging the liver or kidneys. But the one I really want to zoom in on, because it's so often misunderstood, is the one right in the middle, the superinfection.
So here's how that works. Our bodies are home to trillions of helpful bacteria, our normal flora. They're the good guys. When you take a broad-spectrum antibiotic, that shotgun we talked about, it doesn't just kill the bad guys. It causes a lot of collateral damage, wiping out tons of the good guys too. And this creates a power vacuum, which gives other harmful things a perfect opportunity to move in and start a new secondary infection. And that is a superinfection.
And that brings us to the final and honestly the most critical part of this whole story. Because the biggest risk of all isn't just about side effects for one person. No,
This is a global threat. This is the coming crisis, the rise of resistance.
So what is antibiotic resistance? It's basically evolution on hyperspeed. See, every single time we use an antibiotic, it's like a pop quiz for the bacteria. And the only ones that survive are, by definition, the strongest ones. They then get to multiply and pass on those resistant genes, until, eventually, the whole population of bacteria is immune to a drug that used to work perfectly.
And here's the terrifying part. We're often the ones helping them do it. When someone takes an antibiotic for a virus, like the common cold or the flu, it does absolutely nothing to the virus. It just gives all the normal bacteria in your body a free training session against the drug. And skipping doses or not finishing your prescription? That's like attacking an army, wounding it, but then letting its toughest, most battle-hardened soldiers escape to go train the next generation.
Let's be crystal clear on this. Every single time an antibiotic is misused, we are actively training bacteria to defeat our own best weapons. We're speeding up their evolution. We're making them stronger.
And this isn't some theoretical, far-off problem. Not at all. The results are already here, right now, in our hospitals. You've heard of superbugs, right? Like MRSA or VREF. Well, these are the direct result of this process. They cause infections that are incredibly difficult and, in some cases, literally impossible to treat with the weapons we have today.
So we're left with this really sobering question. Antibiotics are, without a doubt, one of the pillars of modern medicine, but they are a finite resource. Our best defense is getting weaker every single day, and it's largely because of how we use and misuse them. The invisible war is far from over, and what happens next? Well, a huge part of that is up to us.